And Paul, you might remember back in August, LA Mayor Karen Bass took a little bit of a victory lap when that lower court first blocked what ICE and Border Patrol were doing out here. Here's what she said at the time, quote, "Los Angeles stood strong and we won. You can't just snatch people off the streets based on appearance. The court knows that, the people know that, and now this administration knows that."
Well, I guess you're wrong, Mayor Bass. The Supreme Court lifted all limits on ICE raids in California. This is a beautiful thing. It's a lot to unpack, but let's get into it. But before you do, hit the subscribe button on your way in.
These criminals.
Thank you. Back to our top story. The Supreme Court handing down that 6-3 ruling that clears the way for the Trump administration to restart sweeping ICE raids across Los Angeles. Paul Perez is here now to react. National Border Patrol Council President. Paul, your reaction first to this ruling.
Yeah, this is great for our agents, but it's even better for the citizens of California and our country because it's going to move the impediment of us allowing to go after these criminals that are all over the country. And so it's really great news. Our agents are very well trained. They undergo a very rigorous academy that's both mentally and physically demanding, where we study constitutional law, immigration law, and criminal law. And so they know exactly what they're doing. This only is going to help us do the job a lot better.
And Paul, DHS reacting to this ruling, they say in part, quote, "This is a win for the safety of Californians and the rule of law. DHS law enforcement will not be slowed down and will continue to arrest and remove the murderers, rapists, gang members, and other criminal illegal aliens that Karen Bass continues to give safe harbor." Paul, what this ruling is essentially going to do is allow Border Patrol, your men and women, to use location, job type, physical appearance, Spanish speaking as some of the factors when making arrests. Why are those factors important to you?
It's very important because if you're a day laborer sitting outside of a Home Depot, or you're someone who can't speak English at all, that's a telltale sign. Honestly, people don't understand that in order to be an American citizen and go through the whole process, you have to be able to speak, understand, and read and write English. You have to understand that. So if you have someone in the country who doesn't speak a drop of English, 99% chance that they are illegal.
Those are all considered articulable facts. You know, all our agents and officers are trained on how to testify to everything that we do. We understand that all the actions that we take may wind up having us sit in front of a judge and explaining our actions, because every defendant has the right to counsel, and most of these attorneys are going to try to suppress evidence or suppress the stop. And in this case, it allows us to use those articulable facts to establish the reasonable suspicion or the probable cause to effect an arrest. So we know what we're doing. This only allows us to do it, and it takes into account all of those factors that you mentioned.
Paul, what does this ruling mean for ICE sweeps in other American cities like Chicago?
It's great because, again, it allows us to do exactly what President Trump said he was going to do, which is remove these criminals. We know they're operating. I mean, there's millions across the country, so it's not going to be only in Chicago. Anywhere we decide to go, we're going to be successful because of the amount of illegal immigrants that were allowed into this country under the 4 years of the Biden administration. So it's going to be good for us to be able to go out there and use this ruling to apprehend more people that should not be in the country.
And Paul, you might remember back in August, LA Mayor Karen Bass took a little bit of a victory lap when that lower court first blocked what ICE and Border Patrol were doing out here. Here's what she said at the time, quote, "Los Angeles stood strong and we won. You can't just snatch people off the streets based on appearance. The court knows that, the people know that, and now this administration knows that." Well, the Supreme Court has now ruled against Los Angeles, at least for now, while the underlying merits of the case play out. But that's been the criticism, Paul, is that Border Patrol is just going out there and just snatching anybody who looks Latino to them out here in Southern California. What has really been happening?
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, the fear mongering and the rhetoric, the false rhetoric. So our agents they're enforcing immigration law as it is on the books. You know, these are targeted enforcement actions. You know, we use a number of factors to determine where we're going to go and who we're going to go after. And many of these people, they run as soon as our agents and officers get there. So that as well is an articulable fact that can be used for reasonable suspicion. And we can go after them, we can chase them down, and then our investigation begins to determine whether this person's legally or illegally in the country, and then we take them into custody based on, the answers that they give. So, Karen Bass and those other Democrats that are demonizing our agents, they need to stop, because it makes it a lot more dangerous for our agents to do the job that they were trained and swore to do.
All right, Paul Perez, thanks so much for joining us on the Breaking News. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
As far as the dissenters, this is Kagan and Jackson. They wrote on the majority's move, quote, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, to your point, Bill, and appears to work a low-wage job rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost. I dissent." That is what we have heard from those who oppose these sweeps, these ICE raids. But the Los Angeles area, Bill, you know this better than anybody. I mean, when you look at the numbers that the administration looking at there, home to nearly 20 million people, the administration is estimating that about 2 million of the residents in Los Angeles are in the country illegally, and that's why it's been a top enforcement priority, Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I was reading Judge Kavanaugh's opinion for the majority, and he specifically identified that number. He said, look, there's about 2 million estimated illegal immigrants in the Los Angeles area. DHS has to enforce the laws on the books passed by a bipartisan Congress, and this judge's order was limiting what they could do. But Sandra, it'll be interesting to see what happens now, because it's been pretty quiet out here in LA since July, since that court order came down. We didn't see nearly the amount of sweeps we were seeing back in the month of June. Now that this order has been lifted, at least for now, it'll be interesting to see how quickly Border Patrol comes back. I already got a text from one agent who said, fire up the engines, we're coming back.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
That could change, and that could change soon, for sure, Bill.
I'm happy that the Supreme Court is overstepping these liberal judges who keep trying to make it very difficult and delay deportations, hoping that Democrats get back into power so that they can just completely stop the deportations. But day by day, the news is getting better. Eventually, we'll be able to get all of them out of here. If you enjoyed the video today, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.